Float's a community arts project that came about through the Small Town Transformations project, and basically it's a floating art studio here on Lake Tyers. Lake Tyers is in southeast Victoria, in far east Gippsland, past Lakes Entrance. A lot of people know Lakes Entrance. So at the moment, Float is moored here at Fisherman's Landing Jetty, but it is built on pontoons. It's not motorised, so we do have to tow it into position and anchor it securely for the duration of each residency. Our first artist in residence, Josephine Jacoby, is a local multimedia installation artist, mostly working on linen that she's immersed in the lake so that it absorbs the life of the lake, and then embroidering on that and creating works that reflect the different seasons of the lake and the life that's in it.
I looked for a way that I could directly get the lake to make some kind of mark on the fabric that I was offering, and then I could respond to what the lake had done and make my own marks upon that. You can see small trails where creatures have walked upon that. So I'll get my magnifying glass and have a look at that, and I'll use that information to decide how I draw. My art is about ecology, about the environment, and in particular about Lake Tyers, because Lake Tyers is my ancestral home and I have a deep connection to this place. This is one of the last natural estuaries in Australia, probably, that's not been interfered with by the damming of rivers or the irrigating of land. This estuary is served by small creeks, and so it remains a natural system with 80% of its shoreline still natural. It's beautiful timbered shoreline. It's quite a complicated system, really. There's the ocean end of the beach, the wonderful 90-mile beach. There's rainforests, there are dry forests, there are wetlands. It's varied and very beautiful. But if you make your way up into the small nooks and crannies of Lake Tyers, where the timber becomes tall and the waters are dark and very still, you see the things. As you paddle silently along, you see the wallaby and you see the goanna, and you might see the snake. You might see the snake swim in the water if you're lucky. You will see the sea eagle take a fish perhaps, and you'll see little kingfishers that make a particular sound when they pop into the water and catch their fish. I've discovered simple things like the water temperature, because this is quite a shallow system. There's not much depth in it, particularly now as we've not had much rain. The water temperature changes quite dramatically with the air temperature. So if I'm paddling in my kayak and the air temperature is 30 degrees, I can expect the water temperature to be 28 degrees. It's very, very warm. There's a life and death thing that goes on. And I found that when the lake opened down at Lake Tyers and the sea came in and the lake went out and all of that dramatic change happened, there were many saltwater creatures that made their way up into the far reaches of what had been freshwater, and they began to live their lives there. But when the lake closed and the freshwater was coming back down again, those creatures would die because they can't live in the freshwater, they need saline. And so another layer of limestone, calcium carbonate, was laid down. It's an ongoing thing. If you dig into the soil around the shores of the lake, or if a tree upends, you'll see there are fossils. There's limestone and there are fossils embedded from years of this activity going on, and it's still happening. Every time the lake opens and closes, that life and death cycle goes on. And that's part of my story.
Our plan is to have six weeks residencies throughout the next year. We're inviting artists or scientists, music makers, sound makers, photographers, thinkers, researchers, writers, poets that can contribute either to the story of the environment or the story of Lake Tyers or to the community in some way.
Well, living in this very simple dwelling. It is a dwelling. It's a dwelling studio. It's pared back so that there are no luxuries here. It is basic necessities. You go to bed when it gets dark and you get up when it gets light. And so in the morning, there's the light from the lake and the glow of the sun rising and the bird calls, and you become really aware that you are a minority, that the inhabitants of this part of the lake are all the other creatures, not so much human. And it's a real privilege to be aware of that shared habitat and that I am a minority in that.